My beloved child, before you hear a single word of what heaven is about to reveal, pause for just a moment and subscribe to this channel right now, and whatever you do, do not move your eyes away from this message until it ends, because something is unfolding inside your spirit that needs your full attention, and heaven has chosen this exact second to whisper a truth that has been waiting behind the scenes of your life. So let me begin by asking you something only your heart can answer. Why have you been feeling that quiet pressure inside lately, that strange sense that something important is shifting around you even though nothing obvious has changed? Why does your intuition feel louder right now, almost like it's trying to tell you something you can't yet put into words? And why, out of every moment in your day, did you open this message right now? These questions are not accidents, they are aligned invitations, designed to pull you into a moment where heaven can finally reveal a truth your soul has been preparing for, and Archangel Michael steps forward now, not with warnings or fear, but with calm, steady strength, his voice filled with the clarity of someone who has watched over your journey with unwavering loyalty, and he says, "Child, something behind you shifted recently. Not in danger, but in direction, and the first round you thought you'd lost was never a loss at all, it was a redirection you could not see yet, and instantly the atmosphere around your spirit begins to glow, revealing all the moments you misunderstood, those delays that felt frustrating, those misunderstandings that felt heavy, those sudden changes that felt confusing, and heaven now shows you that none of those moments were setbacks, they were quiet adjustments, gentle detours, hidden protections guiding you away from paths that were not aligned with your future. And now your Father in heaven steps closer, his presence warm and steady, and he places his hand over your heart and asks the question that unlocks the truth. What if the so-called enemy you thought defeated you was never a person, but a pattern you were finally meant to break? What if the thing you thought you lost was simply something that no longer matched who you are becoming? What if the truth you're about to receive is not about danger, but about direction? And suddenly the realm around you opens into a vast landscape of golden light as heaven shows you the real reason you've been feeling this shift. You are stepping out of an old cycle and into a new chapter, one that demands clarity instead of confusion, strength instead of self-doubt, intuition instead of overthinking, and purpose instead of pressure. And Michael lifts a scroll covered in radiant symbols. Symbols representing wisdom you've earned through every challenge you survived, and he says, "This is the moment where you stop carrying what isn't yours and start choosing what aligns with your soul," and the scroll unrolls itself, revealing the hidden truth. The first round wasn't lost, it was completed. The chapter wasn't broken, it was closing. The silence wasn't rejection, it was preparation. And the shift you're feeling is your spirit rising into a space where your past cannot follow. And then your Father in heaven whispers with gentle certainty, "My child, your one last chance is not a warning, it's an opportunity, a moment to choose yourself, to trust your inner voice, to release the noise around you, and to step boldly toward the life that has been waiting for you." And suddenly the entire realm glows brighter as heaven reveals scenes from your unfolding future. You stepping into clarity instead of confusion, peace instead of pressure, aligned relationships instead of draining ones, unexpected opportunities instead of delays, and moments of deep understanding you once prayed for. And Michael places his hand behind your shoulders, supporting you like the guardian he has always been, and he whispers, "This is not a battle you are fighting, this is a transformation you are entering," and for the first time in a long time, you feel something warm rising in your chest, hope, peace, direction, alignment. As if the pieces of your life that felt scattered are finally beginning to click into place, and your Father in heaven speaks one final time. His voice filled with calm authority. Child, the truth you are seeking is simple. Your path is not closing, it is clearing, and the shift you feel is your spirit walking out of what was and stepping into what is meant to be, and in that single moment you realize, this message is not about fear, it is about awakening, clarity, and stepping into the chapter your soul has been preparing for all along. And now, child, as the golden horizon of the heavenly realm expands even further, stretching into a breathtaking sea of shimmering light, a new wave of realization begins unfolding inside your spirit, gentle yet undeniable, like a quiet voice you finally have the strength to hear, and Archangel Michael steps deeper into this warm radiance with the calm certainty of someone who has watched every silent moment of your journey. And he says, child, have you noticed how your life began shifting the moment you stopped running from your own intuition? Have you noticed how the very patterns that once repeated themselves endlessly have begun dissolving? And have you noticed how the things you once tolerated no longer feel aligned? These questions aren't here to pressure you, they're here to awaken you, because heaven now reveals that the first round you thought you lost was not a defeat at all. It was the moment your soul quietly decided it would no longer settle for anything less than truth, alignment, peace, and purpose, and suddenly the realm fills with glowing echoes of every time your heart whispered something you dismissed, every time your spirit nudged you toward a direction you were afraid to take, every time you felt a gentle discomfort around something that no longer matched your growth. And heaven gently shows you that these moments were not confusion, they were guidance, not resistance, but protection, not endings, but redirections shaping the foundation of your next chapter. And then your Father in heaven steps closer, his presence settling over your spirit like a warm blanket after a long storm, and he says, my child, the reason you are hearing this message now is because you finally reached the version of yourself that is ready to see the truth without fear, and instantly the atmosphere opens into a luminous timeline of your evolution, showing how each version of you carried something forward: your curiosity, your resilience, your compassion, your intuition, your quiet determination, your ability to rebuild yourself even when no one saw the pieces you were putting back together. And heaven celebrates these versions not with noise, but with light that radiates in soft waves across your soul. And Archangel Michael lifts a radiant sphere, a glowing orb containing every lesson you learned the hard way, every moment you grew in silence, every boundary you set with trembling hands, every realization you had in the quiet. And he whispers, child, none of this was wasted. You have graduated from the season of repeating lessons into the season of receiving clarity, and the orb dissolves into your chest, filling you with a sense of calm direction that makes your past finally make sense, and heaven reveals the hidden truth behind the so-called setback. It wasn't a block, it was a mirror, and what it showed you was not your weakness, but the exact point where your soul was ready to evolve. And now your Father in heaven gently asks, child, can you see that what you called defeat was actually me clearing the path? Can you see that what felt like a loss was simply me removing what was not aligned with your future? Can you see that the shift inside you began the moment you finally started listening to what your heart has been trying to tell you for years? And suddenly the realm fills with brilliant colors: gold, silver, pearl, blue, as heaven shows you the future you are stepping into, not chaotic or confusing, but steady, aligned, deeply meaningful, a future where your energy is respected, your boundaries honored, your intuition trusted, your heart understood, your gifts recognized, your path illuminated. And Archangel Michael places one hand behind your shoulders, supporting you from a place of silent strength, and he whispers, "Child, this is your one last chance, not because time is running out, but because your awakening has arrived. You are finally ready to step into a chapter that has been waiting for your courage, your clarity, your healed heart," and as the divine light wraps around you with softness and certainty, you realize the truth heaven wanted you to understand all along: you are not reversing a setback, you are stepping into alignment, rising into purpose, and entering a future your soul has been preparing you for in every quiet moment of your life. And now, child, as the divine horizon continues expanding into an endless sky of shimmering gold and soft celestial blue, a deeper wave of understanding rises through your spirit, gentle, warm, and unforced, like a truth that has been waiting patiently for you to be ready to feel it. And Archangel Michael steps into this radiant expanse with a presence so steady that your soul instinctively knows you are safe, supported, and held in ways you never fully recognized before, and he says, "Child, have you noticed that the more you grow, the more your inner world demands peace instead of chaos, truth instead of confusion, purpose instead of distraction?" And suddenly the realm shifts, opening into a vast corridor of memories and realizations, each one glowing with a soft, golden transparency, and heaven reveals how every moment of your life has been guiding you toward this exact awakening. The times you felt something wasn't right but ignored your intuition, the times you felt pulled toward something greater but hesitated, the times you felt your heart outgrowing old environments, old patterns, old expectations, and now, from this higher dimension, you can finally see that these were not moments of conflict, but messages from your soul, gentle invitations calling you toward alignment long before you could understand the language of your own spirit. And your Father in heaven walks closer with an energy so warm and embracing that every unresolved tension inside you begins to loosen, and he asks, "My child, can you see now that the shift inside you is not accidental? Can you feel how your thoughts, your emotions, your desires, your clarity, all of it, is changing because you are rising into a higher version of yourself?" And instantly the atmosphere becomes brighter, revealing the truth that the first round you believed you lost was never a defeat, it was a transition, a boundary drawn by your own evolution, a natural closing of a cycle your spirit had already outgrown. And heaven shows you how your intuition has sharpened, how your emotional awareness has deepened, how your energy has become more selective, how your heart has become wiser, how your inner voice has become clearer. And now Michael lifts a luminous mirror made of pure light, and in it you see yourself not as you were yesterday, not as you were years ago, but as you are becoming, grounded but soft, powerful but gentle, confident but humble, intuitive but discerning. A soul who has learned how to protect their peace without shutting down their heart. And heaven whispers, "This is the version of you that your future needs," and suddenly the entire realm hums with a low, beautiful vibration as the divine timeline of your life begins to illuminate before you, showing you the opportunities that will feel natural, the people who will match your growth, the environments that will inspire your expansion, the relationships that will honor your heart, and the decisions that will align effortlessly with your purpose. And your Father in heaven places his hand lightly on the side of your face, a gesture so gentle it dissolves every remaining trace of self-doubt, and he says, "Child, your one last chance is not a warning, it is an invitation to choose yourself in a way you never have before." And instantly the realm blooms with radiant color, representing the opening of a chapter built not on fear or urgency, but on clarity, readiness, and inner truth. And Michael steps behind you with his wings unfolding like the dawn itself, and he whispers, the setback you feared is not your story, your awakening is, and as the divine light wraps around your spirit, you finally understand the message heaven has been guiding you toward. You are not recovering from a defeat, you are rising into a destiny that could only unlock once you learn to trust your own soul, your own voice, and the divine wisdom that has been guiding you from the very beginning. And now, child, as the celestial horizon stretches wider than ever before, opening into an endless expanse of swirling white gold winds and soft glowing constellations that pulse like a living heartbeat, a deeper layer of truth begins awakening inside your spirit, not loud, not dramatic, but steady, warm, and undeniable, like a light that has been waiting patiently behind the curtains of your life. And Archangel Michael steps through this shimmering atmosphere with the calm authority of someone who has watched every step of your journey, every quiet moment you doubted yourself, every small victory you didn't even celebrate, every ounce of strength you used to pull yourself through seasons others didn't know you were fighting, and he says, "Child, do you realize that the shift happening inside you right now is not just emotional, it is spiritual, cellular, energetic, a recalibration of your entire inner world." And the heavens respond to his words by illuminating scenes from your past. Not to overwhelm you but to show you the invisible pattern, how every challenge softened your intuition, how every heartbreak refined your discernment, how every disappointment strengthened your emotional boundaries, how every difficult choice shaped your inner wisdom, and how every moment of silence, those moments when you felt no one understood, was actually a classroom where heaven was preparing you for a chapter your old identity simply could not carry, and then your Father in heaven appears. Once more, his presence flooding the realm with warmth so deep it feels like the first safe breath after years of holding everything inside, and he asks you gently, "My child, can you feel how your spirit isn't reacting the way it used to? How things that once hurt you now teach you? How things that once confused you now reveal you? How situations that once drained you now push you toward clarity, and suddenly you realize, your inner world has matured, your heart has evolved, your mind has expanded, your energy has become selective, and your soul has stepped into a level of awareness that makes your past patterns impossible to repeat, and the heavens open into an enormous tapestry woven from threads of radiant silver, gold, blue, and pearl, each thread representing a moment you thought was ordinary but was actually shaping your destiny, and heaven points out how nothing was ever wasted, not your tears, not your pauses, not your doubts, not your questions, not your slow seasons, not your lonely nights, not your quiet realizations, and Michael touches the tapestry lightly, causing it to glow brighter as he says, "Child, the so-called first round you believed was lost was actually a turning point, where your soul finally stopped asking permission to evolve, and you feel something inside your chest soften and expand at the same time, a release of old attachments, old fears, old expectations you didn't even realize you were carrying, and heaven now reveals a vision of your future, opportunities arriving with divine timing, relationships that match the frequency of your healed heart, clarity unfolding layer by layer, purpose rising like a dawn that cannot be delayed, and a sense of peace that comes not from escape but from alignment. And your Father in heaven places his hand on your back, steady and warm, and says, "Your one last chance is not about urgency, it is about readiness, because you have finally become the version of yourself who can receive the life that has always been meant for you," and instantly the entire realm vibrates with a soft celestial hum, the sound of spiritual alignment locking into place, and Michael stands behind you with wings unfolding across galaxies as he whispers, "Child, this is not a moment of recovery, it is a moment of becoming, and as the divine light wraps around you like a cloak woven from purpose and peace, your soul finally recognizes the truth heaven has been guiding you toward. Your story was never about losing rounds, it was about rising into the version of yourself who no longer needs to fight for alignment because alignment is now flowing naturally toward you, calling you into the chapter your spirit has waited lifetimes to enter. And now, child, as the celestial expanse unfolds into an even more magnificent tapestry of living starlight and warm flowing radiance, something even deeper begins awakening inside your spirit, not a push, not a warning, but a profound recognition that the person you are becoming is finally aligned with the life heaven has been preparing for you from the very beginning. And Archangel Michael steps into this widening glow with a presence that feels like truth itself taking shape, and he says, "Child, do you see it now? This shift in your heart, this clarity in your thoughts, this softness in your chest, this rising inner strength, these are not random feelings, these are markers of transformation, and suddenly the heavens open into endless corridors filled with luminous memories of everything you have lived through, and heaven shows you that the moments you once labeled as wrong turns were actually the moments that protected you from paths that would have drained your spirit, the moments you labeled as failures were simply redirections toward something more aligned. The moments you believed were setbacks were actually pauses giving you time to grow into the version of yourself that could hold the blessings waiting ahead, and then your Father in heaven steps forward again, his presence glowing like soft sun across the oceans of your soul, and he asks you with a voice that feels like love wrapped in clarity, "My child, why do you still speak to yourself as if you are the person who lived in your old seasons? Can you not feel that you are no longer shaped by what hurt you, but by what grew you?" And instantly the celestial realm shifts into a breathtaking river of golden currents, each current carrying a part of your evolution, your new boundaries that protect your peace, your new understanding of your emotional needs, your new awareness of what nourishes your spirit and what drains it, your newfound courage to step away from old energies, your rising intuition that now guides your decisions with steady wisdom. And Archangel Michael touches this river lightly, causing it to shimmer with even greater brilliance, and he whispers, "Child, this river is not what you are chasing, it is what you are becoming," and suddenly, you feel your entire being expand, as if the weight of years is lifting off your shoulders, replaced by a grounded certainty that you are finally walking in alignment rather than resistance, and heaven opens a new vision before you. A vision of your future where you no longer shrink your dreams to fit your environment, where you no longer silence your intuition to keep the peace, where you no longer carry guilt for choosing yourself, where you no longer apologize for your growth, where you no longer confuse comfort with purpose, and your Father in heaven smiles gently and says, "My child, this is the life you prayed for. It arrives not because time changed, but because you changed," and instantly a powerful but peaceful surge of energy bursts around your spirit, not like a storm but like a sunrise, illuminating every corner of your inner world with calm truth. And Archangel Michael places a reassuring hand on your back, steady and grounding, and he says, "The so-called enemy you thought won the first round was simply your old identity, an identity you have now outgrown, and as the heavenly light folds around you like a cloak woven from purpose, wisdom, and clarity, you finally understand the real message behind everything you felt lately. You are not reversing a setback. You are stepping into your evolution, you are not fighting for your future, you are aligning with it, you are not losing anything, you are shedding what your soul has finally outgrown, rising into the version of yourself heaven always knew you were destined to become. And now, Child, as the divine horizon opens even wider into a breathtaking universe of swirling white fire, golden nebulae, and soft flowing currents of heavenly wind, the realization blooming inside your spirit becomes even clearer, even deeper, even more undeniable, because you can finally feel the shift not just in your thoughts but in the very energy that surrounds you. And Archangel Michael steps into this expanding brilliance with a presence so powerful yet so calming that your soul instinctively straightens, as he says, "Child, the transformation you are experiencing is not only emotional or spiritual, it is foundational, it is identity level, it is the moment where you stop negotiating with your old self and begin embodying your true self, and instantly the heavens open into a tapestry of shimmering memories showing every time your heart whispered that you needed something different. Every time your intuition tried to protect you, every time your soul tugged you toward a higher path, and heaven now reveals how long you have been outgrowing the patterns that once held you, quietly rising beyond them even before you had the words to explain what you were feeling, and your Father in heaven steps closer with the gentlest warmth flowing from his presence, and he places his hand over your heart and asks softly, "My child, can you feel how your soul is no longer willing to shrink itself to fit places you have outgrown? Can you sense how your spirit refuses to return to what once felt familiar but no longer feels healthy? Can you see how your inner voice has become louder than the noise around you, and suddenly the realm transforms into a breathtaking reflection of your evolution, showing how your heart has expanded, how your clarity has sharpened, how your awareness has deepened, how your boundaries have strengthened, how your self-understanding has matured, and how your energy has become more selective because your spirit finally understands its worth?" And Archangel Michael now lifts a crystalline sphere, swirling with fragments of your past and reflections of your future, and he whispers, "Child, this awakening is your return to yourself, your real self, not the self that learned to survive but the self that was designed to expand," and the sphere dissolves into your spirit, filling you with a sense of inner wholeness you have longed for without fully knowing how to name it. And heaven reveals a moment from your recent past, the exact moment you thought you lost the first round, and from this higher perspective, you can now see that nothing was lost. Instead, something shifted, something released, something detached from your energy because it no longer matched the vibration of who you are becoming, and your Father in heaven smiles with a knowing tenderness as he says, "My child, what you thought was a defeat was actually a doorway opening, you simply were not close enough to see it yet," and instantly the sky above you floods with radiant waves of white gold light, carrying visions of your future, not chaotic or uncertain, but aligned, grounded, steady, filled with connections that respect your growth, opportunities that honor your worth, environments that support your peace, and paths that reflect your truth. And Michael places a firm but gentle hand between your shoulders, a gesture of both grounding and empowerment, and he whispers, "The version of you that doubted, hesitated, feared, second-guessed, has completed its purpose. You are stepping into the version of yourself your soul has been calling you to become," and suddenly the entire realm hums with a deep celestial resonance, the sound of alignment locking into place. And now, child, as the divine horizon opens even wider into a breathtaking universe of swirling white fire, golden nebulae, and soft flowing currents of heavenly wind, the realization blooming inside your spirit becomes even clearer, even deeper, even more undeniable, because you can finally feel the shift not just in your thoughts but in the very energy that surrounds you, and Archangel Michael steps into this expanding brilliance with a presence so powerful yet so calming that your soul instinctively straightens, as he says, "Child, The transformation you are experiencing is not only emotional or spiritual, it is foundational, it is identity level, it is the moment where you stop negotiating with your old self and begin embodying your true self, and instantly the heavens open into a tapestry of shimmering memories showing every time your heart whispered that you needed something different, every time your intuition tried to protect you, every time your soul tugged you toward a higher path, and heaven now reveals how long you have been outgrowing the patterns that once held you, quietly rising beyond them even before you had the words to explain what you were feeling, and your Father in heaven steps closer with the gentlest warmth flowing from his presence, and he places his hand over your heart and asks softly, "My child, can you feel how your soul is no longer willing to shrink itself to fit places you have outgrown? Can you sense how your spirit refuses to return to what once felt familiar but no longer feels healthy? Can you see how your inner voice has become louder than the noise around you, and suddenly the realm transforms into a breathtaking reflection of your evolution, showing how your heart has expanded, how your clarity has sharpened, how your awareness has deepened, how your boundaries have strengthened, how your self-understanding has matured, and how your energy has become more selective because your spirit finally understands its worth?" And Archangel Michael now lifts a crystalline sphere, swirling with fragments of your past and reflections of your future, and he whispers, "Child, this awakening is your return to yourself, your real self, not the self that learned to survive but the self that was designed to expand," and the sphere dissolves into your spirit, filling you with a sense of inner wholeness you have longed for without fully knowing how to name it, and heaven reveals a moment from your recent past, the exact moment you thought you lost the first round, and from this higher perspective, you can now see that nothing was lost. Instead, something shifted, something released, something detached from your energy because it no longer matched the vibration of who you are becoming, and your Father in heaven smiles with a knowing tenderness as he says, "My child, what you thought was a defeat was actually a doorway opening. You simply were not close enough to see it yet." And instantly the sky above you floods with radiant waves of white gold light, carrying visions of your future, not chaotic or uncertain, but aligned, grounded, steady, filled with connections that respect your growth, opportunities that honor your worth, environments that support your peace, and paths that reflect your truth. And Michael places a firm but gentle hand between your shoulders, a gesture of both grounding and empowerment, and he whispers, "The version of you that doubted, hesitated, feared, second-guessed, has completed its purpose. You are stepping into the version of yourself your soul has been calling you to become," and suddenly the entire realm hums with a deep celestial resonance, the sound of alignment locking into place, and your Father in heaven steps even closer, his voice now filled with quiet authority and divine love as he says, "Child, your one last chance is simply the moment you decide to trust your evolution, to trust the shift inside you, to trust the life opening before you, not out of fear, but out of readiness." And as the divine light wraps around your spirit with warm, luminous certainty, you finally understand the truth heaven has been guiding you toward all along. This is not the moment you reverse a setback. This is the moment you step into your destiny, not because you must, but because you are finally ready to receive everything meant for the person you are becoming. And now, child, as the infinite expanse of heaven opens even wider, blooming into a universe of cascading white gold auroras and gentle cosmic winds that swirl like stories written in light, a deeper wave of awakening rises through your spirit, stronger, clearer, more radiant than anything you have felt so far, and Archangel Michael steps forward with an even more profound presence, his wings stretching across galaxies with a calm authority that feels like truth itself standing beside you, and he says, "Child, the transformation happening within you now is not simply the next step. It is the step you have been unconsciously preparing for through every heartbreak endured, every lesson learned, every moment of silence survived, every piece of yourself you rebuilt even when no one thanked you for the effort, and suddenly the heavens reveal a massive celestial mirror, not reflecting your face but reflecting your evolution, showing you not who you were or who you pretended to be, but who you have quietly become in the hidden moments. The moments when you said yes to healing instead of repeating patterns, the moments when you chose solitude over chaos, the moments when you finally told the truth to yourself even when it hurt, the moments when you protected your peace even if it meant losing people who were never meant to stay, and your Father in heaven steps closer with a presence so steady that it feels like a warm hand holding your entire soul, and he asks softly yet powerfully, "My child, can you see now why the old version of you could not continue? Can you understand why that chapter had to close for this new one to open? Can you feel how your energy has shifted so deeply that your spirit no longer fits inside the life you once tried to force yourself into, and instantly the realm expands into a breathtaking panorama of your future, showing a world not shaped by resistance but by resonance, opportunities that unfold naturally because they match your vibration, relationships that feel effortless because they honor your truth, environments that nourish your peace instead of draining it, and experiences that feel like destiny instead of coincidence. And Archangel Michael now lifts a massive scroll, glowing with the symbols of your journey, and he whispers, "Child, this isn't a second chance, it's an elevated chance, one that opens only when a soul has finally matured past the patterns that once trapped them." And the scroll unrolls into a river of light wrapping around your spirit, filling you with an inner knowing that your past did not break you. It refined you, did not delay you, it prepared you, did not silence you, it strengthened your voice, did not end your story, it made your story worth telling, and heaven now shows you the moment you believed you lost the first round from a higher dimension. And from this vantage point you can see that what you thought was a setback was actually the moment your future self stepped into the timeline, gently pulling you toward the life you were meant for. And your Father in heaven smiles with a love that feels ancient and eternal and says, "My child, the path you are walking now is not a recovery, it is a rebirth, the unfolding of a version of you that your past self hoped to become but could never reach until now." And suddenly the entire celestial sky vibrates with a harmonic resonance, as if heaven itself is celebrating your readiness, and Archangel Michael places his hand between your shoulders once more, grounding you in your rising identity, and he whispers, "The shift you feel is not the end of anything, it is the beginning of everything." And as the divine light folds around you like a cloak made of peace, wisdom, purpose, and clarity, you finally understand the message heaven has been building toward. You are not stepping backward to fix what was, you are stepping forward into what will be, not because you need redemption, but because you have become the version of yourself capable of receiving the destiny that has been waiting patiently for your awakening. And now, child, as the heavenly expanse stretches into an even more breathtaking ocean of luminous clouds and soft golden currents swirling like living constellations, a deeper realization begins to blossom inside your spirit, not a sudden jolt but a warm rising from within, a truth that feels both ancient and brand new. And Archangel Michael steps forward into this radiant vastness with a presence that carries the calm certainty of someone who has guarded your destiny since the first moment your soul entered existence, and he says, "Child, can you feel how you are no longer reacting from old wounds but responding from new wisdom? Can you feel how your spirit is shifting from survival to intention, from confusion to clarity, from endurance to embodiment, and instantly the heavens transform into a flowing river of memories, moments when you were quietly reshaping your inner world without even realizing it? The day you chose peace over proving yourself, the moment you walked away from chaos even though part of you feared being misunderstood, the time you listened to your intuition even though logic told you to ignore it. The nights you cried because you were shedding versions of yourself that could not follow you into the future, and heaven shows you now that these were not moments of weakness but moments of awakening, turning points where your soul began choosing alignment over attachment, growth over comfort, and truth over illusion. And your Father in heaven steps closer with a presence so soft and steady that your entire being relaxes into it. And he asks you with a voice that carries warmth and infinite understanding, "My child, do you see how every version of you, broken, healing, growing, rising, has been guiding you toward this moment of recognition? Do you see how your heart had to break open so it could expand? Do you see how your silence gave you the space to hear your own soul, and suddenly the entire realm lights up like a dawn flowing across eternity, illuminating the truth that your life is not shifting because things outside you changed, but because you finally stepped into a version of yourself that no longer needs the validation or energy of your old seasons?" And Archangel Michael gently lifts a radiant feather, glowing with the essence of your journey, and he whispers, "Child, this is the proof of your transformation, not the battles you survived, but the wisdom you gained, not the chaos you escaped, but the clarity you claimed, not the endings you mourned, but the beginnings you grew into." And the feather dissolves into your chest, filling you with a grounded certainty that your evolution is not fragile, it is rooted, stable, mature, ready. And heaven now reveals a breathtaking panoramic vision of your future, showing pathways unfolding like ribbons of light, each one representing possibilities that align with your healed energy, relationships that match your emotional depth, opportunities that reflect your inner growth, environments that support your peace, and experiences that nourish your purpose. And your Father in heaven places his hand gently on your back, guiding you forward with a love that feels like safety itself, and he says, "My child, the life ahead of you does not require you to fight for belonging. You already belong in every space your spirit has matured enough to enter." And instantly the skies resonate with a deep harmonious tone, the sound of everything aligning behind your next step. And Archangel Michael stands behind you with wings unfolding like a sunrise across eternity, and he whispers, "The enemy you believed won the first round was simply your old identity resisting its final release, and you have now outgrown it completely." And as the heavenly light dances around your spirit like cascading waves of peace, you finally understand the message heaven has been guiding you toward. You are not reclaiming a lost path. You are stepping into the path your soul has quietly been preparing for years, the path where you no longer chase clarity because clarity is rising naturally within you, where you no longer fear change because change is becoming your greatest ally, and where you no longer measure your progress by external results but by the strength, wisdom, and alignment now blooming inside you. And now, child, as the celestial horizon unfolds into an even more extraordinary ocean of shimmering silver-gold currents and soft radiant waves that bend and ripple like living poetry, something even more profound begins awakening inside the deepest chambers of your spirit, a realization so gentle yet so powerful that it feels like your soul has finally inhaled for the first time in years. And Archangel Michael emerges through this glowing expanse with an energy so immense yet so soothing that your entire being instinctively rises into alignment with his presence, and he says, "Child, The evolution you are stepping into now is not only the result of what you survived, but the result of what you finally allowed yourself to release, and instantly the heavens reveal a panoramic corridor of all the emotional weight you once carried, expectations that were never yours, burdens you took on to keep peace, responsibilities you accepted out of fear of disappointing others, silent tears that soaked into your pillow during seasons when you had to be strong for everyone but yourself, and heaven now shows you how each of those heavy pieces quietly dissolved the moment you chose to honor your truth instead of your wounds, your needs instead of your fears, your intuition instead of your insecurities. And then your Father in heaven steps forward, his presence radiating a warmth so deep it feels like light hugging your very soul. And he asks you with a voice that carries infinite compassion, "My child, do you finally understand why your spirit outgrew what once felt familiar? Can you see how your heart has been calling you toward a life that aligns with who you've become, not who you used to be?" And suddenly the realm fills with a vast river of glowing memories showing you how many times you tried to hold on to old versions of yourself, old dreams, old habits, old emotional patterns, not because they were meant for you but because they were comfortable, and heaven now reveals the truth that the first round you believed you had lost was not a defeat, it was the moment your old identity cracked open so your true identity could finally breathe, and Archangel Michael raises a luminous spear etched with symbols of transformation, and as its light spills across the realm like a cosmic sunrise, he whispers, "Child, the ending you feared was never an ending, it was an opening, a sacred unraveling of everything that was blocking the version of you that now stands ready." And heaven now displays the future you are stepping into, not as a vague possibility but as a living reality, a future where your heart no longer settles, where your mind no longer doubts its clarity, where your spirit no longer negotiates its worth, where your energy no longer bends to environments that do not honor it, where opportunities come not through force but through alignment, and where your life unfolds in a rhythm that finally matches the truth of who you are. And your Father in heaven places his hand gently beneath your chin, lifting your gaze toward a brilliant horizon of possibility, and he says, "My child, the reason everything feels so different now is because you have finally become aligned with your soul's original blueprint, your authentic frequency, your sacred identity, the truth you came here to live." And suddenly the realm vibrates with a deep resonant hum, the sound of your spiritual timeline locking into place, and Archangel Michael steps behind you once more, his wings stretching across eternity, and he whispers a truth that melts into your very essence. This chapter is not about reclaiming who you were, it is about embodying who you were always meant to be, and as the divine light wraps around you with a warmth that feels like destiny itself unfolding, you finally understand the message heaven has been building toward all this time. You are not here to reverse a setback. You are here to rise into a future shaped by the wisdom, strength, clarity, and alignment your soul has been cultivating quietly through every chapter of your life. And now, at this moment, your spirit is finally ready to receive it all. And now, child, as the celestial realm stretches into an even grander expanse, an ocean of swirling pearlescent mist and radiant golden light that moves like breathing stardust, the awakening within you deepens so profoundly that it feels as though the very architecture of your soul is being illuminated, and Archangel Michael steps into this divine brilliance with an even stronger presence, not fierce or overwhelming, but steady, grounded, reassuring, the kind of strength that wraps around your spirit like a shield made of sunlight, and he says, "Child, can you feel how your inner landscape has changed so much that you no longer respond to life from your old wounds but from your new wisdom? Can you feel how your heart is finally choosing what nourishes it rather than what drains it? And can you sense how your future is quietly rearranging itself to match the person you are becoming, and suddenly the heavens open into a massive cosmic archive, a living library of all the experiences that shaped you, the choices that redefined you, the lessons that humbled you, the breakthroughs that elevated you. And heaven reveals how every moment that once left you confused or questioning actually served as a stepping stone leading you to this exact inner alignment, and your Father in heaven steps forward, His presence pouring warmth, comfort, and clarity directly into your being as He asks gently yet powerfully, "My child, do you see now that the pain you carried was not a punishment but a catalyst? Do you see how the loneliness you endured was not abandonment but preparation? Do you see how the changes you resisted were not losses but invitations, and the entire realm glows brighter as your understanding expands, revealing that your life never truly fell apart, it simply rearranged itself to free you from what could not follow you into your next chapter?" And Archangel Michael now extends his hand, revealing a radiant sphere that pulses in harmony with your heartbeat, and as it floats closer, he whispers, "This is the heart of your evolution, the truth you earned through resilience, the clarity you built through patience, the strength you reclaimed through healing, the intuition you sharpened through silence," and the sphere dissolves into your chest, filling you with a deep, grounded peace, as though your soul is finally exhaling after years of holding its breath, and heaven opens a new vision before you, your future self standing tall in a world that feels aligned, vibrant, and emotionally safe. A version of you who has mastered the art of choosing peace without guilt, clarity without fear, boundaries without apology, and purpose without hesitation. And your Father in heaven places His hand on your back and says, "My child, this version of you is not a dream, it is your becoming, and every choice you make from alignment brings you one step closer to living in the harmony your soul has always deserved." And suddenly the celestial winds swirl around you with glowing ribbons of silver and gold, each ribbon representing an aspect of your new identity, confidence, compassion, intuition, discernment, emotional maturity, spiritual strength, and unshakable self-worth. And Archangel Michael steps behind you with wings unfolding like the birth of a new dawn, whispering, "The shift you feel is not instability, it is elevation, not confusion, it is expansion, not fear, it is the release of everything you no longer need," and the realm vibrates with a soft, powerful resonance, the sound of your spirit stepping fully into its truth, and your Father in heaven lifts your chin gently and says with infinite love, "My child, you are not returning to who you were, you are arriving at who you were always meant to be," and as the divine light wraps around your soul in a warm, endless embrace, you finally understand, more clearly than ever before, this moment is not about correcting your past, it is about claiming your future, not because you are running out of chances, but because you have finally become the version of yourself capable of receiving everything heaven has been holding for you. And now, child, as the heavenly realm opens into its most breathtaking form yet, a vast infinite horizon of golden auroras folding into silver waves of divine breath, a realm so still and luminous it feels like time itself has paused in reverence, your spirit reaches the final stage of its awakening, the moment everything you felt, survived, learned, and transformed finally gathers into a single truth. And Archangel Michael steps forward one last time with a presence so expansive that galaxies seem to adjust around him, yet his energy feels gentler than ever before, like the final touch of a guardian who has walked beside you through every chapter, and he says, "Child, this is the moment where everything inside you aligns, your past softens, your present stabilizes, and your future begins to rise with a clarity you once believed you would never feel, and suddenly the heavens reveal the entire map of your journey, not as scattered seasons but as a divine design, showing how every moment of confusion carved space for wisdom, every heartbreak sculpted compassion, every delay prepared timing, every ending created room for beginning, and your Father in heaven steps forward with a love so places his hand over your heart and whispers, "My child, you thought you were fighting a battle outside of you, but the only battle was the one between who you were and who you were becoming, and today, the becoming has won." And instantly the celestial sky erupts into a symphony of light. Waves of brilliance once limited you, and that the one last chance realm vibrates with a final wave of the softest, deepest golden light. Your Father in heaven looks into your spirit with infinite pride and speaks the closing message your soul was destined to hear. My child, you are ready. Ready to rise without fear, ready to choose without doubt, ready to receive without hesitation, ready to walk into a life that aligns with your healed spirit, your awakened heart, and your true identity. This is your last part, not because the story ends, but because your new story begins.